Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm just going to be doing a little guided meditation to bring your awareness to what is right here, right in front of you, and to really sit in the awareness of who you are. This question of who are we is a profound question that is often overlooked by many people. Often we tell stories about who we are. Stories that say we are this kind of person, we're that kind of social economic status, this job, this age, this name. And we identify so strongly with these stories, and these stories guide our behavior in very profound sort of ways. Apologize, there's a dog barking relentlessly in the background. India is a very loud place, but I guess I'll add a bit of spikes to this sort of meditation. For our identities, I want to really think about how they appear in our consciousness. I suppose if we free associate for ourselves on this question of who am I, move this to or pause, you'll notice that some thoughts will sort of churn up, perhaps. I say, I am Ryan, I'm here, I'm seeing, I'm witnessing a room, I have hands, I have legs, I'm recording a video. And all these sorts of words, all these sort of thoughts, they reveal this belief, right? That I am a person, perhaps residing behind my eyes, having an experience. And I'm this person in control of these actions, in control of my speech. And I'm doing all this. Now, of course, when I really sink into the moment as it is and watch it closely, I notice how this is all just happening. The reality is just a great, big, spontaneous arising. It's kind of like a wave, and we are sort of riding that wave. And we believe as surfers on that wave that we are pushing the wave. But the wave is just doing what it does. The wave is just waving. And it creates this sort of movement of energy that pulls us along, this kind of force that animates our behavior. When we wake up and we're rested and we have this sort of this energy that wants to express itself in the various actions that we do throughout the day. And I want people to notice what is this energy that moves through them and animates them, animates their thoughts, animates their actions, that sort of arouses in them their most deepest desires and passions. Because energy, of course, is the most important resource in nature. Its energy underlies every action and movement. If you have no capacity to generate energy, you are akin to being dead. You need it for metabolism. You need it for every important physiological function. And as well, we should notice that our conscious experience itself reveals energetical processes. When we drink a load of caffeine, we are really stimulating the processes of our mind. Sometimes it causes racing thoughts and a sense of agitation in our body, where we have this big get up and go attitude. And compare that, of course, if we're very, very sleep deprived. There's no real energy. There's a kind of dullness, there's a lethargy. We have no energy in our muscles to move, and we kind of just want to sit around and laze around. Energy underlies everything that is most important to us. And I want to sort of zoom in on the energy of a thought. Where does a thought come from exactly? Now, in meditation, we find the notion of mantras. And mantras in sort of yogic and esoteric traditions are these kind of words or noises that people will speak to themselves during the meditative process in order to induce a kind of alteration of consciousness, like a point of meditation. And when you zoom in on a particular mantra, whether it's a sort of a divine sound, an om, or any kind of word or sound, when you tune in on that sort of word and that sound itself, you amplify it in your experience. And what I'm sort of thinking about here is how in the chanting of a mantra, there is a sort of a fixation, a particularization of your consciousness on that sort of a mantra, and you sort of repeatedly, chant it to yourself, and then you almost take yourself into a kind of trance, and that sort of trance state has this sort of holistic effect on your awareness. And now our thoughts, right, they are like these mini mantras. There's these little bubbling up on our consciousness, and many of them are random. But some people, particularly in the case of rumination, where they have particular negative or worrisome thoughts, they circle on such things, and you can spiral and spiral and spiral, worrying about something bad happening in the future or something, which is almost akin to chanting to yourself a mantra, which is a negative word like terror, terror, terror. Just imagine meditating and or Satan or whatever word, a word that has a negative association. And often, words themselves, right? The sound often relates to their meaning, right? So we have the word, say, fluffy, and it feels nice when you go fluffy. But if you go crackly, crack, the sound itself connotes that sort of cracking sound, or disgusting. There's sharp sounds in them compared to a nice floaty, fluff, caramel, succulent, or I don't know. Anyways, but the point is that the words that we say to ourselves have an effect on our consciousness. And mantras are one way that meditators can really narrow in on this sort of experiential effect of particular words and sounds and the vibrations of such words and sounds. And mantra is very closely related to the use of incantations in magic, whereby people will create a very, very strong intention in their mind, and that strong intention creates a reality bending effect upon their reality. Now, I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to get lost in the source of what magic and incantations and reality creation and bending is, because it deserves its own sort of, rip. But I want to leave people, right, with a deep awareness of the thoughts that they have and the way in which their thoughts are like spells that are being casted in their consciousness, right? And often we believe our thoughts sort of without correctly evaluating their truth. Someone who is a schizophrenic, they will have all sorts of paranoid thoughts about reality, these paranoid predictions about what's going on. And many of these are not based in reality, however, because we believe them to be reality. The reality of a paranoid schizophrenic is not a particularly pleasant one. Others use as a loud vehicle. So we're all in these sorts of reality tunnels, right? And we only barely sort of converge in a consensus reality. Some people live in very conspiratorial reality tunnels where they're just reading about all the shit that is going on in the world on their phone screen. Some people are like meditative monks in the cave, in the mountains, in the Himalayas. They're sort of meditating and marinating in cosmic consciousness. Some people have very different experiences of reality. And I think something that we can all take encouragement from is our own ability to create a more blissful, more pleasant reality. Rather than sort of thinking about our reality is just at the whims of what is external to us. We ourselves, as co-creators, as participants in reality, can internally generate a more peaceful and equanimous, a more peaceful experience of reality, right? And it all comes down to paying attention to your attention and moving your intention and creating intentions that are for more bliss. We all want to experience more bliss and experience less suffering. And I think that's one of the major themes that I'm really circling in on. Like, how can we internally generate more bliss? And how can we internally help to transform and alchemize our suffering? Because suffering is real, of course. They will inevitably occur in our life. And I want people to acknowledge that, to not shy away from it, but also to transform it, into something that is beautiful, that provides them with more wisdom. And ultimately, I don't want people to be in pain. I want people to be able to just relax in something as simple as nature and to just bask and just to be okay. But that's a difficult thing, of course. And we're all on different journeys. But yeah, I'll leave that at that. But it's been interesting, insightful, and enjoy the rest of your day.